Hello everyone, my name is Jang. First, I'd like to thank the Design Incubation Committee for the opportunity to talk about my work at this conference. In this presentation, I will be talking about my creative practice, a sequence of multiplicity. So I'd like to begin with two of the most familiar visual perceptions we often talk about in our design practices. One is the figure and ground relationship. Since our vision is not merely optical but also selective, most of the time we reflect our views to select what we want to see and to build a visual hierarchy that renders certain things invisible or marginalized. And the other perception is the sequence of perceiving fundamental visual elements that are seen in the order of shape, color, and word. Having these familiar visual perceptions and their sequence, I asked, there is something others don't see, but I see. What would it be? In other words, there's always an absence of something or an absence of its existence in design or perceived design. For many years, I've focused on the simultaneous multiple existence of mixed feelings or contradictory ideas about unseen things and their information in our everyday life. So in my creative practices, I've explored ways to rethink visual perceptions. One is related to the figure and ground relationship and ways to see multiple existence at the same time. The other is based on my finding that when an object is in motion, as you see the spinning tops on the screen, the visual sequence is changed. It means that color comes before the shape and word in motion, removing borders between the shapes. To understand this phenomenon, I explore multiplicity as a visual concept and as a narrative system to capture the multiple existence in space-time. And so my design methodology is as follows. First, I select a group of interrelated unseen things and intangible information, such as temperature, labor, alignment, and feeling, that could be meaningful in my daily life. Second, I examine visual qualities that could consist of multiplicity, such as simultaneity, duality, polyhedroness, ambivalence, and modularity. Third, I design visual narrative systems to translate or transfer intangible information into metaphoric modules, sequential colors, and their values. Here's an example of how I developed a sequence of multiplicity exploring one of its quality, ambivalence. A sequence of gray was inspired by the idea of the linguistic meaning of words black and white from the book titled On Ambivalence. I started collecting materials thinking of the concept of ambivalence, which is the simultaneous existence of contradictory ideas about things. And then I experimented with the reconfiguration and distribution of light, such as gradient, to see black and white existence at the same time. In this practice, light, angle, and gradient are used as material for building visual sequences. Here are some samples of the linear gray gradients. I explored 144 linear gradients by changing the ratio of white to black and the light angles. I created various forms such as a book, a series of prints, and animations by using the gray gradient study and the classic book design portion called Perfect Page. The various overlapping shapes and values are generated by their positions and sizes, which contributed to narrative system. A sequence of gray includes 123 compositions and explores multiplicity to create abstract visual narrative. Since then, I've continued and expanded the project by transferring it into a physical space and by reconfiguring gray values in RGB related color system. Here's another example of developing a color system for visualizing intangible weather information. My new color temperature scale was inspired by the Kelvin color temperature scale, in which blue represents a hotter temperature and red represents a cooler temperature. In other words, the cooler the color is, the hotter the temperature is. Rethinking the figure and ground configuration, I created a circular model with color to show the relationship between the heat index we feel and the sky images we see. These are more arrangements and rearrangements of the color of Athens weather, and the book includes a collection of its sequential colors. This project, A Sequence of Blue Labor Day 2016, is a color representation of my love of design labor, showing the multiple existence of my labor time. I made a bright room on my balcony and used cyanotypes and the sunlight printing process to capture the time of my labor all day on Labor Day in 2016. A Sequence of Blue explores different values of cyan blue that represent the existence of sunlight, duration of time, and temperature throughout the day. Now, in order to see multiple existence and their hierarchical relationship at the same time, I explored various positional words, rotations, and movements through this project, The Politics of Alignment. As the panel gets zoomed out to be seen in a larger frame, their positional relationship becomes more complex. I've expanded the politics of alignment into an animation and added more alignments to show the relationship between the center and margin. In this video sequence, as the words created multiple horizontal and vertical movements, the two opposite words met at a point, gathering in the center or spreading toward the corner or margin. Here are more sequences from the video, The Politics of Alignment 2. Here are some posters for A Sequence of Multiplicity using polyhedroness in space-time. The politics of alignment has led me to look into the history of civil rights movement during my library fellowship at the University of Georgia. I created Decentralization 1 and 2, which symbolize reversed power relationship between the margin and the center. These projects were based on multiplicity and shows the relationship between the margin and the center. These are more works based on multiplicity as a visual concept. They include sequential color and module-based typeface, and they were featured in exhibitions, Disturbed Boundaries, A Minor Arc, Percent, But the Clouds. In summary, the concept of multiplicity has evolved into a series of studies by connecting one another. In my design process, I explore simultaneity, duality, polyhedroness, ambivalence, and modularity as related qualities of multiplicity. And then I generate and translate paradoxical, polyphonic, and metaphoric narratives into various forms. These practices have allowed me to be close to seeing multiple existence at the same time. Specifically, color and alignment have grown into a network of divergent, convergent, and a wide range of metaphoric techniques and non-linear narratives. Let me close by saying that it is essential for us to recognize what we focus on, how we place and align things, and to practice multiplicity to reveal the unseen and the intangible. Thank you all for listening to my presentation.